You do the rest. Welcome to Live Reality Game Podcast, where we talk about your favorite reality games. And this is the Amazing Race Season 33 season finale recap from Live Reality Game. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube account. So before we actually start, let's do something we usually don't. So don't forget to watch Survivor Pennsylvania on YouTube. And because this is live reality games, we have lots of people who love Survivor, and they create their own version of Survivor. They film it and they produce it on YouTube. And apparently, Connor is in there as well. Connor is on this way, not this way. It's a reverse webcam situation. So Connor is right there, and he actually is in Survivor Pennsylvania. So if you like him play a game, see a Survivor game, or you like him because of recap, please do remember to watching it. The first episode, I believe, is already on the YouTube, right, Connor?
Yeah. So they posted all the footage that they have. So we didn't have footage for the first two episodes, but everything else that they have footage of is all posted online. So it's all there in bulk, so you can enjoy all the footage that is available for you.
And since Survivor 42 is coming out next Wednesday as well, so then it's actually good to start your Survivor journey starting with Pennsylvania, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let's do very quick on how we do for the finale episode. I think it's a big thing where everybody have watched probably numerous times, have watched enough recap, and we just do a very quick recap. And of course, my usual rant and Connor, the usual very praise the show. We're lovely to do we like to do the rent and recap. The like one of commenter once again, our Nunez said, everything's not fine with me, but everything's fine with Connor. So we have the total contrast right there. So we know that the team went from Portugal, from Greece to Portugal. Once again, they fly their charter flight, and then went to the pit start at Almada, and then go to a location, then do a roadblock at the Fisherman's Wharf where they have to paddle. Actually, it's just not paddle. Basically, they have to figure out what's the correct name to find on the on the boat and the paddle to the other side of it. The Sometimes I really hate this kind of challenge where I have no knowledge or no cultural background of Portugal at all, and then so they want to find a Spanish explorer. It was like almost failed my history. Even Canadian history, I was almost failed at. How would I be able to remember like Spanish history? So, what do you think about this, Connor? What do you think about the challenge, and why would the teams be required to know the name of the Spanish explorer?
I like the challenge. Like they had a lot of options to go through, and I liked how some of the options on the boats were not even explorers. They were just
Mm.
like poets, and then others were like politicians. Like they had a Cristiano Ronaldo who's a soccer player. So like they just threw some random names out there and said, pick an explorer. And so I would have definitely picked Bartholomew because that's an older name. I'd have been like, you know what, sounds old. Who's named Bartholomew anymore? But like other than that, I would have been dead screwed. So it was a mental challenge to know which one of them was the explorer, but it also was kind of a physical challenge because as you could see, a lot of them had trouble rowing boats, and I would have had a hard time as well. So it was a very interesting challenge, and you saw that some teams had to go back and restart, and they picked the wrong one. Like Arun picked, I guess it was like a politician, so he had to go back, and so it was a very fun challenge. It was a fun one. I thought it was a good challenge, and we had two roadblocks this leg, so it was always I like the double roadblock. I'm always a huge fan of it.
Okay, so since Connor likes it, I hate everything about it. So I really hate the fact that how they have to basically know some knowledge, which is really not something that is related. Well, personally, I don't really like to force my racers to know particular knowledge that they really don't really know about. Race is a race. It's either based on your physicality or mentally. Really, wisdom wise, yeah. Only if of course, we all know that in the end there's a memory challenge, and that's the wisdom, the smart part that you actually experienced it, right? It's not like you have basically explored the continent with a Spanish explorer. So why do you need to know the name? Well, of course, all the history buff will hate me saying that. So in other way, if I were the one to tweak this roadblock, I would just make it very straightforward. Each team member has to basically roll twice, go there to retrieve one thing, come back, and or go there again. Or there's a very popular, possibly everybody known puzzle or question saying how many times you be able to carry live animals from one beach to one side of the beach to another side of the beach in order to transport all of them to the other side of the island. Have you heard that something like that in the past?
I've heard not specifically the way you're describing it. No.
Yeah. So either way of that, I think using a more generic mathematical or knowledge challenge rather than more specific one, it's actually more better, and some of it can be more challenging. It seems just like because not nothing against other teams, especially Kim and Pan. Or I don't know how did that work. That she probably took a lot of notes throughout the entire race. When she did the interview about the boat challenge, she said, "Oh, I just basically like the color. It's a like the draw. I picked that one, so it worked." When there's so many times that actually when somebody explained it that way, it kind of feels a little bit um, hmm, weird. I don't know what to say. So you can just pick out of the 10 or 12 boats there, you just pick one that worked. Oh, well, good for you. So that is instead of racing, Kim should also to buy the lottery for sure, right? So yeah, but that's fine. That's my take on it. And then when Connor said about double roadblock, seriously, I hate the most about double roadblock, and that's the laziest approach for any leg of the challenge. I don't mind the double roadblock uh logistic, but I hate the rules where you have to force one person basically if they did the first one, the second person cannot do another roadblock. And that's the part I hate the most. Not really about the roadblock itself or how the roadblock works. It's just that why are you forcing somebody who cannot do the roadblock, who did the first roadblock cannot do the second? So what if it's a more like a challenge that actually to jump into water and be able to swim. That happened in season 7 with Rob and Amber, where Amber it's not a good swimmer. Amber was forced to do that roadblock, almost caused some medical emergency for Amber, and that's why, for safety reason, I never liked the fact that how this rule was implemented in the double roadblock situation. There, I said it.
I like the double roadblock in the sense it like forces someone to have to like do a task, and I mean it definitely is one of those things where it challenges teams to a level that a D20 roadblock leg
Mhm.
probably wouldn't. So you're forced to do the task no matter what. You have to very pick wisely. I don't mind it. And of course after that challenge they go and they do a painting challenge. The painting
Mhm.
challenge is
Mhm.
based around I
The
believe
sardine
it's
can.
sardine cans. I was gonna say
Yeah.
tuna cans, but
Yeah.
sardine cans. So
So then I was wondering why they decided to do three challenges and like separately like that, or was the sardine can originally a detour challenge versus the robo, right? So then that we never know, but had they actually do it differently this way, it may be better. Because like I said, I don't really like the rule of the double roadblock. But either way, the sardine can, as viewers pointed out, that there's teams that actually didn't require to paint the doorknob, but apparently Dustin and Ryan was constantly being asked if their painting was incorrect. They have to paint the doorknob, and some people call it fair or unfair for Dusty and Ryan. In the end of it, people have to understand this is a TV show, right? I mean, the race definitely try to keep everything as fair as possible, but sometimes it's just luck the draw in the end of
mm,
it.
mm.
So then, would you pick any particular painting on this sardine cans, or any painting would be fine?
um I, as much as it seemed like it was like advantage to get there first and pick your specific painting, I don't
Mhm.
think there was an advantage in picking a specific one. They all had their um difficultness to them. I don't think that there's an advantage. Like I don't. There wasn't like one really easy one and three hard ones. They were all pretty intricate. They were all pretty detailed.
Hmm.
So just, I think the reason they did that specifically was to cater to the, we'll get there eventually, final task where it was
Hmm.
personalized about the specific facts about the race. That, I don't
Sure.
think the intricacy, like there was not an easy one and a hard one. So I don't think there was an advantage for getting there first or an advantage for picking a specific one, to my
No
knowledge.
worries. Yeah, and then after the intricate painting challenge, they have to go to an intricate rule block where you have to count the columns of a. Is it a church? No, it's a building. What was it, Connor?
I believe I was just, I don't
It's
know.
called a Centurio de Cabo. Yeah, not too sure what it is, but definitely it's a counting challenge. Then I think this challenge was designed very well in a numerous aspect. It's a very a simple way of doing it. Just basically count the things, but they set a designated area for teams to count, and the person who checked the answer is far away. So if the teams really want to actually cheat and just keep guessing, 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 apparently somebody said it was a long distance run, about 7 minutes back and forth for each time. So then if and then I know Penn tried to do that numerous times. Unfortunately, for people who are aged like me, wearing glasses. Oh yes, Connor wear glasses too. Sometimes it is hard to actually see all the things, especially in far distance, right? Which Raquel Kayla excelled this challenge and accounted 106 for the columns, and the rest of the teams have a little bit of trouble. So all in all, I'm not really just a renting person, but you have to look at the aspect when you design a challenge. Does everything make sense? Does everything actually have a chance for the teams to cheat? In the end of it, a very simple challenge, but every aspect of this challenge is designed very well. I like it for this particular reason, and yes, I would imagine how hard it is because I have done numerous challenge, like a counting challenge in my race as well. It is somewhat, if you are under pressure, it's always difficult. Do you believe so, Connor?
Oh yeah, this is I found it interesting because this challenge was challenged your eyesight,
Yeah.
something that a lot of us can't control, and it's not
Hmm.
something you can like really train
Hmm.
for. So I thought that challenging the eyesight was an interesting choice.
Hmm.
Um, like usually you get a challenge that'll challenge your brain, something you can train for, challenge your physicality, something you can train for. We don't really get to pick our eyes, so I don't know if I'd necessarily like the challenge that was like that because you had Kim and Penn, an older couple, have trouble with that. Dusty, as he said himself, is 35, roughly in the mid 30s, so he, you know, is not exactly the young buck as well. So I don't know how I felt about a challenge specifically designed to test your eyesight.
Well, you just offend a lot of people who are older than you, Connor. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's tough, but anywho, and after that, everybody did it, and of course, unfortunately, the one team that I thought it would be the finale, and they did not end up being in the final leg, which is Arun and Natalia. And a lot of teams say that they probably were the luckiest team throughout the entire series of the Amazing Race because they were saved by they were not eliminated, but they came back, and they were not eliminated. They survived nine elimination twice, and then basically it's like three times the charm. They all finally were out of the race at the leg 10. So, well, I think it's good that they keep trying and trying, keep not giving up. But I think it really comes down to the point that navigation is a big thing, and unfortunately, I think for Arun and Natalia, it was a little bit difficult on the navigational side, and that's why they end up being not being able to move into the top three.
Yes.
So, do you remember for the most of time is Arun driving or Natalia's driving?
Mostly I remember is Arun driving, Natalia, and navigating.
Navigating, right? So then it end up being in somebody's comment, which I just read in it. I listened to a lot of recap throughout this whole season of recapping ourselves. Kim and Penn said that because their age, which is they're both in their mid 40s, uh, then they were like they are in the age group where like they used to read maps, right? So in a booklet like that, you open it, you flip through it, and you have to find out where it is. Nowadays, like Connor probably, and even myself too, I was just like, hey, Google Map,
Yeah.
let's type in, and it would just direct you where you are. So the map reading skill is kind of vanished for the younger generation. I believe Natalia was the one that actually is doing the most of navigation. She definitely hasn't doesn't have that skill build up to read the map. And that's why sometimes I actually said to a lot of racers in my being the amazing hunt is that before smartphone, everybody has to bring a better map. Even for me, I will have to tell them, hey, bring a better map, yeah, and then so you can navigate yourself. And one team in particular, when we were racing in 2005, well, that's like almost 17 years ago. You know how old their maps were was? The map was in 1995, so it was like 10 years before 2005. I'm like, why would they actually have a 10-year-old map in their vehicle? But comes to joke of it, navigating with a map is actually another. I think it's just like what do you call it again? Stick shift driving. It's probably another skill that the younger generation must have in handy in order to compete with the older generation these days. If in the future that Amazing Race will resort to more self driving.
Hmm.
And yes.
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely an interesting point, and I don't drive, I don't know stick, I don't know how to read a map, so all that is true. I mean, if we're looking at survey one younger generation, I don't know how to do either of those, so like that's a fair point.
So you have to race with the older generation. Okay,
Yeah.
start looking for one. Yep. Then, of course, and then the final leg of it, and then the teams went from Portugal to Los Angeles back to USA. Of course, there's a funny moment of Phil tried to be the person on the airplane, tried to announce everything. So yeah, it's a little bit cheesy, but well, it works. In the end of it, I really like the charter plane idea. Hopefully, they will see more of that in the future. Well, considering I think it's definitely a lower cost if you for the teams to actually buy the airplane on the spot or for the groups to purchase. It really depends how the feature season is going to go because there are actually in the works of season 34. So we'll see if they're going to be more charter plane in the future. Then, of course, they started this like the race in Los Angeles at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel, where they have to basically find a combination code in order to open one of the four clue box in each one side of the tower. Apparently, that combination is on the elevator.
Yes. And Ryan and Dusty had a very tough time with this, and essentially this is the task that got them eliminated from the race, and is the reason because they could not catch up after this task, which shows how far behind they fell.
Wrong. They didn't get eliminated. They just didn't win.
Well, yeah, I mean, like causing them to lose the race is my point. This
Yes.
task is like we're looking at Ryan and Dusty's downfall. It's this task. It's not the doorknob. It's not anything else. It's this task, not looking at the elevator, that caused them to lose the race.
But I wonder if the actually with the race instruction, usually, like I said before, on a piece of one A4 size paper or a letter size paper, does it say that you actually have to find the combination on the elevator, or basically teams had to figure it out, like souvlaki or things like that, and then with the clue on a wrapper, right? So, in a sense of it, like as a viewer, it's very easy for us to see to know because we were told by Phil in the TV show where it's like this is where you can find the combination versus if the teams weren't given it. And I sometimes like to talk to teams to details of this, and I know they can't mention too much of it, but I definitely want to find out the details, why they do the way they do it. Then of course they went to do to go to they went to this Los Angeles historical monument to do hit a lot of pinatas.
Yes, and this was a very very fun task as well. It was an interesting one. I don't know if I would necessarily put this task in the final, but it was a fun task. Like it was fun to watch them hit pinatas and find clues. So I liked this task a lot. It was just fun. It wasn't like too difficult. It wasn't extremely hard. It was just a fun task.
It's a release all the stress possible for one person. Keep hitting things.
Yes.
It's funny that all in the entire race that in the final leg they actually there's lots of tasks, right? So then everyone they just got route info. They didn't actually just specific it to be a detour or roadblock. So I think it's a good way of having teams to work together, especially in the final leg. Which, in a sense of this, I like the task because one person is a caller, one person is a doer, right? We see that on Survivor a lot as well. So it's tasks that design the teams have to work together, which I think is a good thing. Whether or not they use pinata or not, you want them to beat out watermelon instead.
Maybe not the watermelon. We've had too many incidents with watermelons.
And talking about that watermelon, it actually show up in the next task where they have to go to SIR Hollywood in order to replicate the sound effects of the past infamous or most memorable scene in the Amazing Race.
They had two infamous moments, and the rest were just tasks that had interesting sounds to them. The two infamous moments were watermelon and my ox is broken. The other tasks were just three. I'm sorry, three. We also had what we always talked about in previous podcasts of this, the hay bale task. The hay bale task also was an infamous moment, but the other task with like Amanda and Chris from a past season throwing pies in each other's faces, like that's not a crazy moment. That's just a task, like. But they needed a sound one, I guess. They had I forgot couldn't tell what season this was, but when they're in that like rubber ball and hitting each other with like that task, like to me, like the three infamous moments were watermelon, hay bale, and the ox's broken task. The rest were just sound bites.
Okay. So what do you think of this task though? Do you like it?
I do like the task. It's something we've never seen before. Like I've never seen a task like this. I feel like Foley, the art that they were doing, is not talked about enough in general. Like not a lot of people know about Foley. So this is a great way to like introduce that aspect of having to recreate sounds that they put on television and movies. And I thought, as a whole, I really enjoyed this task. Yes.
And as Connor likes it, I would dislike it for sure, right? So the reason why I dislike it, just because what does that have to do with the race, right? I mean, of course, they used the Amazing Race past infamous challenges, and then create sound effects of it. I think it's more like a promotion of some sort, definitely a promotion to the SIR Hollywood, or SIR Hollywood may belong to CBS of some sort, and it's like a marketing aspect of it. So because you have people like this is the thing where which I personally talk about hopefully in the future about the task design, not only on the task itself, but what task design can mean to other teams, right? So you have three teams left where you know that two out of three teams are very like super fans of the Amazing Race. You have one team, Dusty and Ryan. Unfortunately, Ryan doesn't really have a lot of TV interaction in the time that when he was in prison. And Dusty, you can tell that he's really not a type of person probably stick in front of TV most of the time. So you basically give a very huge disadvantage to one team with Dusty and Ryan. And then with the other two teams, it kind of sort of give an advantage to them. So I don't really feel like that's a fair challenge to all three teams. And that's the reason why I dislike it. In a sense of that. So, but once again, why are they going include SIR Hollywood? I don't know, right? So that's once again their choices as a production team, of course. And then after that, they went to the Digital Health Sports Park, the tennis stadium, finally in the final memory challenge, and of course, it's a very good memory challenge, which reminds me like Big Brother 6. Big Brother several seasons. Three piece of wall. We have three teams basically hanging out stuff. The Amazing Race actually took a lot of inspiration from other reality TV show in this season in particular to create challenges, right? So this definitely, as a Big Brother fan myself as well, I know this is basically wonder if they hired the Big Brother challenge producer as well to create this challenge.
This was a great challenge. I like how it was personalized. Like I said, for each team, like this is where you've been. It's very personalized for each team. So I love this challenge. I thought it was a great ending challenge. The ending challenge is always a memory challenge based on where you've been, and I thought as a whole this was a great way to end out the whole series. So season, I guess I should say. So it was a great challenge.
Yep. Then, of course, you have teams where they talk about in their exit interview or in their recap saying that this is not what they remember when they experienced theirs, and this is not what they didn't actually pay attention to it because this is what it is.
Mm.
A funny part of it, some recap were saying that Kim and Pan had no trouble with it, but when I watched the final challenge, every team has trouble with it, and just one team has less problem, which is Kim and Pan. And then that she took lots of notes, she drew pictures, and she even saved all that and showed it, all the exit interviews, showing all the recaps, which is like great. One thing I'm just a little bit wondering. I thought at one point the Amazing Race series that the teams were saying that were not allowed to take notes at all, like anything with paper and pen.
Mm.
I wonder if that's Big Brother or not, but I wonder if the Amazing Race at some point wasn't allowed to do that. But in this one, apparently, uh, Kim did all the homework throughout each leg of the race, and they were actually because I think this season because they were always arriving at location, departing in the morning. There was no really a lot of traveling jet lag. So Kim and Penn, according to their recap, they were constantly quiz each other at the end of the leg, and the leg, sorry, end of the leg of the race when they were in the hotel. So that's something that I believe they did often. But I also believe that Raquel and Kayla probably does that as well. They just didn't talk about it much, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, I know Dusty and Ren probably don't do that, and they think they can just do whatever they can on the spot, and sometimes it's just a team dynamic and how they prepare themselves at the end of it.
Very much so.
Yes, and if you're a Big Brother fan, please make comments about how much you like this race as well. How much you like this challenge, the memory challenge. See how this reminds you in various Big Brother seasons, especially when towards Final Four. Okay, so then one team definitely win cross the finish line first, with only a few teams because the pandemic. Welcome them at the finish line where Phil was at the finish mat. They announced Kim and Penn are the winner of the Amazing Race season 33, the oldest married couple to ever win the Amazing Race.
Oldest team as well. The claim to fame is on the oldest team, and I'm surprised because I know they're an older couple, but they don't look as old as like the oldest team ever to win. You know, I look at teams like Chip and Kim, and I'm like, I would have thought Chip and Kim were a bit older than Kim and Penn, but you know.
I don't really know what to say after you just said it. Okay, never mind. Let's skip through that.
No, because I remember Chip and Kim are one of my favorite winners of all time.
By now, Chip and Kim probably are as old as Kim and Pam. I'm not sure, but I know TR story and will let us know their actual age, right? So, but the thing about what I keep focusing on the oldest team, I wonder is because the average age as a team or each individual, because we have people who are older than older than Pan, or either one of them have won the race with their kid, right? Like the All-Star season where the father and son. The father definitely is older, I believe. Please attack me down there in the comments if you think if I'm wrong, but they definitely must have been an older racer than one of them, right? So why would they keep tagging them as oldest team? In what aspect of it?
Maybe average.
Well, just to let you know, the Amazing Hunt has the oldest team, their 60s. So sorry, the Amazing Race, we did it first, okay? So then, of course, I think throughout the race where it's kind of interesting where you one time were saying that there was a sort of you don't like when the show did some sort of foreshadowing about the result. When the first leg, when the Phil came, welcome Kim and Pan arrive at the first match, they were saying that you better try hard. We don't want the younger team always be the team that win. So I kind of feel that they probably will be the team that race to the final, possibly win, and that was my. Once I heard Phil said that, because in the end of it, it comes down to the editing floor, right? If they didn't win, whatever the conversation between Phil and Kim and Penn doesn't have to be put in that episode, right?
Sure.
put it in that episode, so you kind of forecast that they will be the eventual winner, and they are the winning team, of the Amazing Race in the 33. So, talking about that, do you like how they're foreshadowing them winning the race?
Well, when I saw that and like what I didn't immediately say, "Oh, Kim and Penn are your winners." Oh, spoiler or whatever. But when you
Mhm.
look back and you see Kim and Penn win, the first thing I thought about was, yeah, Phil kind of warned us, didn't he? So I mean, there's that. I don't think it was super obvious where it ruined anything.
Mhm.
So I'm not too upset about it.
And do you think that a lot of people talking about in Survivor, of course, does Kim and Penn has the winner edit?
I think. I think. I don't think there was a winner at it. I mean, I wasn't. I don't. I don't. I wouldn't say any one specific team had the winner at it. I would say like
Mhm.
all of the teams that made Final Four had
Mhm.
a great edit throughout, a consistent edit, a very large edit.
Mhm.
So I don't think I would say there's a winner's edit per se.
So, for my personal perspective, even though I'm the renting person constantly, but I have a vulnerable side too. So, I actually checked out the one YouTube video where when Kim and Pan crossed the finish line, they were actually joining Lulu and Lala and some other member in Fort Lauderdale to watch as a sort of watching the final episode of the race together, and you can see the joy in Kim and Pan's son and daughter when the two kids saw them crossing the finish line, and Joy is kind of maybe cried about it because I think at a point that the kids were so proud of their parents, they
Mhm.
think that the parents can't really do it, but they did it. So congratulations to Kim and Pan winning that $1 million prize, which also I did a little bit of research. At the end of it, was only going to be down to 600,000 after all the taxes. But 600,000 is still a lot of money. So maybe one day the Amazing Race will up the price from 1 million to maybe 1.5 or 2 million, like the Survivor season 40.
Mhm.
Maybe one day, right?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. So once again, let's go back to our first draft picking episode. So the person who win the Amazing Race season 33 draft picking winner is me. I picked the
Congrats.
winner. Yay! Well, definitely I have no insider information. It's just purely by luck and purely by the way how. Well, let me tell you this. So what I base my three choices on. Well, I 90% believe Kim and Pan will win the race by looking at the intro. If you fanatic like to know why, please go watch all the recent intro of the Amazing Race. That's one. And in order then I picked two teams that seem sort of physically strong and possibly have good storyline for editing. So that's my three choices and end up winning the draft pick. So live reality games, please award me a prize at some point. So I would love to give a prize. But I don't know if we have it or not. So okay, then I kind of want to talk just a little bit about Pan and Kim as well, their team. I think Kim throughout the race was talking about a lot of her anxiety, and she overcome a lot of anxiety or fear, and she kind of was a control freak, but she let it go, and she conquered a lot of things in her life, especially in this race. And of course, we know Penn that it was very well promoted about his ADHD and his focus superpower, and is able to basically use it when he needs to. So these two people basically represent a good chunk of people in real life, where people you see in real life that there's some people just have some, we call it invisible disability. It could be OCD, ADHD, it could be anxiety situation, or it could be something that's actually doesn't allow you to look at a person and say, oh, this person is disabled at some point. So I call it, well, research for it, it's called invisible disability. And the funny thing about that, the reason why I bring this up is because that the Amazing Hunt in 2022, we actually are promoting races to recruit people who are having invisible disability, and to race in this year. And in the last race we had was the in the North Vancouver race, in like a love sweet challenge with eating all the candy and sweets. What the person who won the race actually have a smell receptor problem because he doesn't have any. So when it comes to any strong smell challenge, he may not be able to do it. But when it comes to eating it, he has less hindrance because he can't really smell most of it. So it just tastes like regular food for him. He ended up winning the race because of his invisible disability. Because by looking at him, you won't know that he has sort of hindrance in life, but he overlooked that, he conquered that, and used whatever he has and to win anything in his life. And I think Kim and Penn is the same thing. And I hope to have more people from Canada or even from the States to race with us and tell about your story about how you overcome your invisibility and use that as something to conquer your daily life. And self promote at the end of the last episode, please go to the Amazing Hunt City Expedition this summer. Please sign up and join us in our adventure on our website, theamazinghunt.com. Yes, how would you think about this self promoting thing at the end of it? I have a JPEG. Please go to the Instagram too. I'm not kidding with you. This is something it's in plan since 2020, long time ago. That I'm going to bring this in at some point, which 2022 was the best time in King and Pen winning. Actually, sort of coincide what I want to do this year as well.
It all works out. Maybe you'll have the best season ever. It's just the stars are aligning.
Yes, it is. That's how it usually go. So once again, don't forget Survivor Pennsylvania is on YouTube, and Amazing Race City Expedition is in this summer. Please sign up and join us on our adventure website. Our website on theamazinghunt.com. Definitely I would like to see some Americans racing against some Canadian for sure, since we have more Canadians going to be competing with more Americans on Survivor 42. I don't know if they actually announced anybody who's from Canada yet, because I wasn't really paying attention to some participants if they were from Canada or not. So this is it. We spend how many episodes? 1, 2 is 1, 3, and then so it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 9 podcast episode. Me and Connor with the rant and recap style. We hope you liked it. It's a long journey, 9 weeks in total, and we hope you like how we do it. And we thank the live reality games give us this opportunity. And of course, the Amazing Race. They try very hard to produce their season. When we're looking forward to season 34, and hopefully we'll be back again. Maybe Connor will be the one doing the renting most of the time. I will be the nice person doing a recap.
We'll see.
We'll see. So you took off your hat. Let's put your hat back on. So we
celebrate.
Celebrate the end of our recap and celebrate the winner of the Amazing Race season 33, Kim and Penn. And thank you very much. Thank you for watching Live Reality Games podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and follow our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. Thank you so much once again for the opportunity. We'll see you hopefully again in season 34. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend. And don't forget to watch Survivor 42 next Wednesday on CBS. Thank you so much. Bye.